So the year is 2024 and people are still using 12-volt batteries and inverters, unfortunately. Most people have switched to 48 volts even for mobile application systems, which is fantastic. Especially today, it's easy to use 48-volt batteries. They're cheaper, they last longer, they're more efficient, and we have boost converters so that if you have a small solar panel array, you can still boost that voltage so it's usable by a 48-volt battery. But some people are still using 12 volts. I'm not sure why. It costs more money, a lot more money, bigger conductor size, larger solar charge controllers. The inverter requires more copper for all that current handling, but some people are still using 12 volts. So in this video, I'm going to give you hardware recommendations for best performance or for a budget system, so if you don't have that much money. So I think you guys might find this interesting if you are building a 12-volt system. Also, I'm going to show you some alternative methods to build a 48-volt system to work for you, and that will be at the end. Just in case you keep thinking that you need 12 volts, you probably don't. Now, 12 volts works really well for small systems. If you have an inverter that's under 1,000 watts and you're just trying to charge a laptop inside of a minivan or a work truck, I get it. That works great and you probably don't need anything else. But if you are building a large system, I strongly suggest you consider 48 volts. So let's get started. The first system is for the best performance possible. If you have a high vibration environment, high moisture, you want it to last for a very long time, and you want zero issues at all, I would recommend a Victron inverter, 12 volts, and a Epic battery, 12 volts. This combination is pretty much the best thing you can buy on the market today. This has integrated Victron communication and all of the wiring, and it's all waterproof. This whole thing's waterproof. And it has a T-class fuse, and the BMS is from the same BMS manufacturer that makes golf cart batteries. So inductive loads are not an issue for these at all. And when you combine it with the Victron inverter, you're going to have zero issues. Just the design of this circuit, I know these are very heavy, but this design will last a very long time compared to the cheap, lightweight inverters. This should last, this combination, for decades to come. The failure rate of both of these products is ridiculously low, especially compared to the competition that costs even more, specifically for the batteries. There are other marine grade lithium iron phosphates with less features and more problems, and they cost more money. So this is like the best bang for your buck performance battery. But this is expensive. I understand that not everyone can afford this. This thing's like $1,200 or $1,300, and this is $2,000. But if you're going for 12 volts and you want it to work for a very long time, this is how you do it. Now, this is an inverter and a battery charger, and this is a battery, but we need a solar charge controller for this system. And guess what I recommend? A Victron. I love Victron solar charge controllers. Just the monitoring and the data logging alone and the failure rate, these things are fantastic. You will not be let down by Victron components. And you don't need these to communicate. You don't need all of those other special things. You don't need the shunt and all of that. It's nice to buy the whole Victron energy ecosystem, but you don't have to have it. If you just have this with some solar panels and you have a Victron inverter, you can just let it run. Flip the switch, turn it on, and let this do its thing, and you're done. Some people get intimidated by Victron, so that's why I'm saying that. I also have a beginner video if you want to hook up communication with Victron. If you have some extra money and you want all the pieces to work together, that is an option, and it is as well beginner friendly. So yeah, this is the best performance system I can think of. Victron components and Epic batteries. Now let's move on to a budget system. Now for my budget package for 2024, we're gonna go with a lead time battery. We've opened up like 8 or 9 of these and they have been fantastic. Lots of people like these and they are a fraction of the price of most of the competition, but it's only like 25% cheaper than an Epic battery. That Epic battery though is really good. I wouldn't mind buying an Epic battery and maybe a cheaper inverter if you can't afford the Victron, because the battery is where it matters most. These do work really well and they make a lot of people happy, but it's not nearly the same quality as an Epic battery, and the Epic battery is just a little bit more. This is a fraction of the cost of a Victron inverter. So instead of spending like, $1,300, these are like $300. And they both have pure sine wave. This doesn't have any of the fancy features of a Victron, no communication at all. It has a remote switch if you're installing it in an RV or a van, but this is going to be lower quality. And in theory, it shouldn't last as long as a low frequency Victron inverter. This is high frequency, so it weighs less. It's less weight, but it's cheaper quality. You'll notice that these terminals, one of them broke on one of my recent videos. And this just looks cheap. I mean, if you look inside, you'll see the components are not nearly that of a Victron inverter. But I haven't been able to kill one. Guiandales are fantastic for the money. Also, they have a high efficiency for being a low-cost inverter, and they have a good pure sine wave. Unlike others, they'll say that they have a pure sine wave, but it's actually a modified square wave. But yeah, I would stick to Guiandale if you are on a budget. If all you need is a 1,000-watt inverter, just buy a Guiandale and you'll be good to go. Also, you might not need this large of a battery, but this is the best bang for your buck. So if you're on a budget, I would highly recommend buying the biggest battery you can the first time around, because usually what people do is they buy a small 12-volt 100 amp hour battery, and then they buy a second and a third and then a sixth and an eighth, and then they have all this wire that they had to buy to put them all in parallel. Save yourself some money and just get the biggest battery the first time. And if you need more, buy 2 big batteries and then connect those in parallel so you can save money. But this combination would work for a very long time, and you would be surprised at the performance. Now, what solar charge controller do you think I would recommend for this system? Oh no, I lost it! And I cannot find it. I had a Rich Solar and a Renogy one, but I'm pretty sure I gave it away to my forum members. So solar charge controllers, I have some recommendations on my website. The cheap ones actually work really well, and I've not had any issues with them at all. And they're also the easiest to program with the on-screen display and the buttons below it. So I do recommend those a lot. But these are really nice. I know they cost more, but you're not going to have any issues. And the quality of this device versus those cheap solar charge controllers is a night and day difference. But they've never broken on me, so they are good. But I would still probably buy this, especially with PV conductors and the voltages they operate at, and I just like these better, especially for monitoring. And it has Bluetooth built in, so you can see what your system is doing and if it's even charging, which is the most important thing you need to know. I mean, you'll always know if your loads are working or not, and you don't really need a shunt if you know that your battery's charging. If you see that the current from your panels is making it into the battery, this is all the monitoring that you really need, in my opinion. So this is ideal, but there are other options and they do work well. Now, something that you don't want to cheap out on is the conductor size from a cheap battery to a large inverter. You need to use high quality, expensive conductors that's pure copper, okay? Don't cheap out on the wires and buy those inverter hookup sets with copper clad aluminum. You want to buy the nice, thick, expensive stuff so you don't catch anything on fire. Also, the issues that we have with cheaper inverters is because people use the wrong gauge wire, or they're using copper clad aluminum, or the terminations are not done correctly. So again, buy the large, thick gauge copper cables and you'll be set. Now, I don't think that this would last as long as a Victron and an Epic battery, but these last a very long time. The failure rate for both of these is very low. So again, if you're on a budget, this is probably the best you can do right here. And I've been recommending both of these for a very long time now, and I haven't had anyone complain at all. Now, for the final part of this video, we're going to talk about why people still choose 12-volt systems for even large stationary systems. So first thing that comes to mind is they are familiar with 12 volts. They start with a car battery. You know, they have a secondary battery in their RV that's also 12 volts. They hook up a pulse width modulation solar charge controller to charge the battery, and they're done. It works, and they're like, I like it. It charges off the alternator. Great. But I'm telling you right now that 48 volts is just as simple, if not simpler, than 12 volts. It's less current, so they're easier to build. The cables, the sizing, the cost, everything else is easier. Also, with 48-volt batteries, they typically have better BMSs and an on and off switch. Most 12-volt batteries are just raw terminals that can short out on anything. With pretty much every 48 volt battery I know, there's an on and off switch, so the terminals are not live. You connect it with some nice copper cables. Typically it comes with it because they're so much smaller and cheaper that the manufacturer just throws it in with the 48 volt battery. And then when you're all done connecting everything, you turn on the battery and then you have a solar power system, right? Nice and simple. It's not like that with a 12 volt battery. With 12 volt systems, you have to use T-class fuses because of the amount of current and the low internal resistance of those batteries. When you put lots of 12 volt batteries into parallel, the amount of current that those can deliver is massive. And if you look at the marine guys, they have these massive T-class fuses, these massive bus bars, 4-aught gauge cables going everywhere. It's expensive and it's not good. You need to step it up to 48 volts. But they're not doing that because they're not familiar with 48 volts. So all you really need to know that's different from 12 volts is that the compatibility of devices is dependent on the voltage. So if you buy a 12 volt battery, you have to buy a 12 volt inverter. Okay, that's it. If you buy a 48 volt battery, you need to buy a 48 volt inverter, and you also need to buy a 48 volt solar charge controller. As long as all the components are rated for the same voltage, you can connect them together just the same as you would a 12 volt device. There's no difference. Now, one thing that will confuse people is the solar charge controller voltage. So if you have a 12 volt battery and you have a 24 volt solar panel, it will work. If you have a 24 volt solar panel on a 48 volt battery, it will not work. So if you have a very small solar power array and you want to connect it to a 48 volt battery, you're going to have to use what's called a boost solar charge controller. And these special devices are really cool, and they use them for golf carts and all sorts of other applications, because you can have a single 20 volt solar panel that's 100 watts, really tiny, and you can charge a massive 48 volt battery for a golf cart or for a solar power system or anything that you choose. So you need to find a solar charge controller that will boost the voltage instead. If you do not use a boost controller, you're going to have to put your solar panels into a string with a voltage high enough to charge a 48 volt battery. And most of them can charge with like an 80 or 90 volt string, but typically I recommend 120 volts minimum. That works for most all-in-one systems and most large solar charge controllers for 48 volt batteries. Just keep it above 120 volts and you'll be good to go. Now, if any of that confused you and I talk too fast, I have a schematic on my website for a mobile 48 volt system. It is as simple as you can get. I also have multiple videos on how to do that, so check out those resources. It will make sense to you when you build your first system, and you'll realize, hey, this is a lot easier and better than a 12 volt system. Now, the next reason people buy 12 volt systems is for alternator charging. They have a 12 volt alternator inside of their car, RV, or van, and they want to charge their solar battery on cold, rainy days with a DC to DC converter. So they're going to regulate how much current is going into their deeply charged solar battery so that they do not destroy their alternator, because those alternators are only designed to charge up a shallow depth of discharge starting battery. It's not designed for charging a lithium iron phosphate that's been deeply discharged. And that's how people run into all sorts of problems with alternator charging. So typically you have to have a DC to DC regulator, and again, that costs money, and that will regulate how much current comes from the alternator to put into your 12 volt battery. Now, what you need to do instead is use an externally regulated or a dedicated 48 volt alternator that's designed for charging deeply discharged lithium ion batteries. That is the way you're supposed to do it. And this will effectively turn your vehicle into a generator for your solar battery. And you can run this all day long and you'll have a lot more current. When you're pulling 20 or 30 amps from a 12 volt alternator, that's not going to charge up a 5 kilowatt hour battery very quickly. It's very slow. It's not very efficient. The charging system of your vehicle is not designed for it, and it costs more money. You have to buy the DC to DC regulator, and some of those are very expensive. So yeah, do it right the first time. Take all that money you would spend trying to make your 12 volt alternator work and buy a 48 volt alternator and get it professionally installed. The amount of current that thing will output for the money is much cheaper than trying to use 12 volts. stop trying to use 12 volts. It's not good. Unless you have a very, very small system. Like I said, if you have a 1,000-watt inverter, and you have a tiny little battery, and you want to charge it off the alternator with like 10 amps, then sure, why not? Who cares, right? But if you're building a big system and you're trying to charge off a 12-volt alternator, that is completely illogical and very expensive. And it's hard to build. You're going to be running 4-aught gauge cables from one side of your vehicle to the other side. It just does not make any sense to do it that way. And is there any other reason people would use 12 volts? The alternator charging and how familiar they are with the voltage is all I can really think of. Why would you not? I can build a 48-volt system with these small little cables in a matter of minutes. With the 12 volts, I have to bring out the big crimper and all these big fuses. And if one of the terminations is not perfect, it's going to get really hot. Like, why use 12 volts? It's just more work and more money. So yeah, I hope this convinces you guys. Try building a small 48-volt system. We have one that I talk about all the time. It's my mobile system. It's a server rack battery with a $700 all-in-one on top. It can handle 5,000 watts of solar. It outputs 3,000 watts. Also, there's new 48-volt products all the time. Look at this 6000 XP. Imagine throwing that into an RV with a massive array. That would be incredible. You could have a 50 amp 240 volt plug connected directly to that thing. You can charge crazy fast. Imagine how much it would cost for a 12 volt battery charger for that same input capacity. It's just too much money, and it's illogical, it's inefficient. So yeah, give 48 volt a shot, even for mobile systems and stationary, and I think you guys will be a lot happier. And you can buy 48 volt inverters. So if you want a system that works for a very long time, you can buy one of those. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.